Every map tells a story, but what if you need to tell hundreds of stories, one for each of the different regions or locations that you have on your project? So doing that manually can take hours or even few days or even weeks, depending on the workload that you have. And this is where QGIS Atlas comes in. So Atlas is a powerful feature inside QGIS that lets you automatically generate a series of maps from your data. It's kind of the mail merge for maps. So it takes a single map layout and repeats it for every feature in the layer that you have in context, updating its extent, labels, titles, information automatically. So in other words, you design one map and QGIS does the rest. So you can design one layout and then you have 50 maps just in seconds or minutes. So why is this important? This is because Atlas is able to save you massive amounts of time while keeping all your maps consistent and professional. Whether you are working on different layers, it could be land parcels, it could be counties, it could be zoning reports or regional analysis, the Atlas helps you focus on insights and not to repetitively make maps. And here is the best part. Once you understand how it works, you can generate entire map books, personalized reports, or even automated map exports with just a few clicks. So in this video, I'll show you what QGIS Atlas is and how it works and how you can start using it completely to change the way you produce maps and save you a lot of time. So let's get started. Before we generate an atlas, we have to ask ourselves, what kind of atlas do you want to generate? We want to generate an atlas that shows the maps of different counties representing the health sites that we have. So we'll have 47 maps, each with the boundary of the county and the points or the health sites displayed. So before we even go there, we have to come to this part, which is the atlas. In some essence, you can, if this is not here, you can always activate it by clicking on this icon. If it's not among the tabs, click this tab and it will be available. The other option is if you want to view, you can always click view, and we have a panel of atlas here. So it will be available here for you. So we want to do or to generate an atlas. So we'll check generate atlas. But before we generate an atlas, one thing we have to check is, for example, if we go back here to our QGIS and we go to our Kenya counties, we open the attribute table, we'll see the column that has the names of the counties is called ADM1 underscore EN. Okay. And then on the health sites, we see that again, we do not have the name of the county, but this is something we can generate. And in other cases, we can just use it as is and we'll be able to see how it results. So with that information, we can now go back to the atlas, where we now say that we want to generate an atlas, and the coverage layer that we want is basically the county. So we'll select the Kenya counties layer, and automatically you've seen that the moment we selected Kenya counties, it automatically under page name, it automatically assigns the column that has the name. Remember, you can write an expression here, but of course we've seen the column and we know what it's called. So for this button is for purposes where maybe you need to generate or to calculate another field that will be used as the page name. Remember, the page name, this is the name that will be assigned to that page, because for example, if it's a PDF, it will have 47 pages, each with the name of the county. If they are PNGs, there will be 47 images, each with the name of the county. Okay, so with that, we'll come to that part, and then the other bit is we filter. If we wanted to filter, we can basically filter these maps with, for example, we can write an expression that basically helps us filter the different elements that we want. So for example, we can write an expression that we want maybe to filter these pages or these counties based on an element. But because we do not want to filter for now, we want to just generate for all, so we will not use this option. The other bit is we can sort by. So here automatically we are sorting by the column name, or we can choose any other column that we want to sort our atlas with. So by default, it can be either alphabetical based on the column that is chosen here as the page name, and we'll be able to see how that happens. So we have that, and then we have down here we have the output, and it gives you an option of or an idea on how this will be. So the output of the maps will be output, then we have underscore the atlas feature number. So the feature number is basically the counties that we are talking about. These are what we are talking as features. And then automatically, by default, it chooses the image format as PNG, but you can choose other formats available. So once we have this, we can see we finished all the settings. But again, at the top here, if you look at the top, the preview here, we can see we have something that has started showing. So we've already seen Baringo, which is the first county alphabetically in Kenya. So we can see it's already highlighted here. But if we look at, for example, the preview, this button is for preview or previewing the atlas. If I click on it, nothing seems to be happening. Why is that so? It's because the map here, we need to go back to the map and say we check an option called controlled by atlas. So this view of the map will be controlled by the atlas, so we'll be shown these counties based on what is selected on the preview here. So let me do that. I check this. You can see some changes. There you are. And you can see now we are having some changes on the design. So what we can do, we can adjust, for example, this. I can see my scale is already spanning out of the page. So we can just go back here and say, maybe for the, instead of fixed length, we can maybe fix the segment. So the scale, we move it there. And then we can also move this one maybe to this side. We can move the legend here. So remember your creativity here. So I'm just moving these elements to avoid abstracting. So already see we have another end, so I can remove this. So because the background has changed, you can view the end that we had like that. Okay, sorry, Control Z. All right. So now we can see that this is Baringo County, as you can see. And remember, on our map, maybe we could now go back to our map here and we can add labels to these counties. And we can do that. I click OK. So that when I come on this side and I can now select this, I can maybe say follow, yeah, like that. So now I have my county names appearing. So whatever you're seeing here is basically what we needed. And if I go to the next, which is Bomet, now it should refresh and it should go to the next county. So allow me to remove this base map. The base map is making it quite heavy because it has to fetch the base map every time it refreshes or it goes to the next county. So again, let me do this. Okay, so now every time now I move to the next should be fast. So you can see Bungoma, here it is. We can see that. We can see all that all the way. All these 47 counties, we can preview their map and we are able to see how we can control the atlas. And this is good. You can see it really saves you quite a lot of hassle. So you do not need actually to select or to do more in terms of what is going on in terms of the maps. So this is just one example, but you can actually go further with this example. I'll show you in a few. So we are seeing that every time it's focusing on the county that you have selected under the preview. In case you finished with your settings, you can always click export, and you can export, for example, as images. It will generate 47 images. As SVGs, it will generate 47 SVGs. And as PDF, for example, if I click on PDF, maybe let me call it Atlas. I'll click on that, and it will ask me for those details. I click save, and it will export all the 47 counties that we have. You see, it's exporting that of 47. So that is how you generate an atlas in QGIS, and there are still further refinements that we can do, which I'll show you in a few. But this is how you are able to basically create an atlas from your data. So let's finish. Okay, so you can see it has finished, and if I open this atlas, let me see, I can open this, and you can see it has 47 maps or 47 pages that we have on our map. So of course, these are representations of what is there in terms of the maps themselves and in terms of the counties. But you see, in most cases, this is applicable where we are having polygon data. We can control this further where we want to show or where we want to display. Instead of, for example, we are having these counties where we are seeing this neighboring, but we can still see the neighboring counties. So we can basically control that, and where we want maybe to have the map of only one county displayed at a time. So let me close that PDF. Let me go back here. To control that, we need to go back to our map here, right? And we will need to go to the style of this county, where we need to go to the symbology. And in this case, we can come up with what we call styled or rule-based symbology, where, for example, we can see we are having this style here, but we can change the style in such a way that we only want those that are in the atlas, like that, and we want to filter only those. For example, we can write an expression. We can only want to filter those that the field name, for example, where we have the ADM1EN is equal to the page. Here, if you type the at, we can get page names or page, sorry, I have to write atlas feature or atlas page name. So for example, where ADM1 equals atlas page name, for example, I click like that, and I click OK, then I click OK, then I apply, and then click OK. So now what is happening is that the atlas or whatever we are seeing here, this is Nakuru County, and this county, it's because this is only for purposes or for what is selected on our canvas here. So if I was to say maybe follow them, you can see now we are only left with the boundary of that specific county displayed on our map. So that is one of the control that you can do, and as you can see, that is how it appears. of course, you need to also update the legend here. So instead of this, we can say selected, for example, and this is what will be displayed. Sorry, we have the health sites which we are seeing here, and these health sites do not basically conform, or they do not align, because they are even spilling over the boundaries of the county that they shown. So how do we go about it? We can again go back to the styles here, and now in this case we go to the health sites, and here we'll again go back to rule-based symbology, and here we'll be able to see that we can write an expression here, and where we say so for this, because the geometry of this the geometry of the health sites are the ones that we need to cap, because we do not have the field that says or that mentions the county that the health site belongs to. So it means that here we are going to use an expression that looks at the geometry of the health site and see if it coincides or intersects with the geometry of the county. So how do we go about that? So again, we can go here. So we look at the geometry, and in this case, let me just double click. Sorry, not that. So here we go to fields and values. Sorry, and under fields and values, we'll select the geometry. Okay, so here we need to check, because these are fields and values. This is the geometry of the specific points that we have of the health sites. So what we can do, we need to compare these with the geometry of the atlas that we have. So what we are going to do is we are going to into bracket, let me do that, and then I get that at atlas geometry like that, and then here instead of name we do intersects that. Okay, so this one I'm hoping it will work. Just so let me see, intersect the geometry of that. Yeah. So let's see. So if you click OK, that's it. Let's click OK. Then I click apply, and then OK. Yeah, bingo. So this is how we are now able to filter the sites that fall within the specific counties. So if we go back to our map here, and again we click this, so there you are. So now in every county where you push the different county, for example, if I select a different county, it will show me that county and the point or the health sites that fall within that county. So as you can see, we have quite a lot that you can do in terms of the settings. It's not that difficult, but as you can see, it's now something that has made our life easy. We are now able to basically generate maps for every county and the health sites that fall in that county just by a few configurations. So from this, we might want to now do that or do some examples from different scenarios, but this is how you are able to control the atlas. The other option is being able to change this title. So we can see this is a map of health sites in Kenya, but these are not the health sites in Kenya. These are the health sites in this specific county. So how do we change this? We can basically, again, we can add an expression here, where again we can say on here we want to have the name of the atlas feature, for example. So this is how we are going to do that. So once you do that, you can see it has been added here, and we can remove this. I don't know why it has added in between the word Kenya, but this is how you are able to add the expression to basically also now give you the name of the atlas. So in this case, now this is the whole the title that we need. Let me maybe reduce the fonts for purposes of fitting. There you are, and then go back there and map. So now I should be able to, okay, it's not appearing, I don't know why. I think it should not be, let me see, sorry, let me see, it should be Atlas page name. Yeah, there you have, yeah, exactly, sorry about that. So once we have that, so a map of health sites in Ghana, and then at the end here we can add the word county. So that is how you can now customize it further to now even the title itself, it changes based on the atlas that you are developing. So you have the counties, you have the health sites, you have the title, all changing based on the county that has been selected. I know this is a useful feature, and it's a cool feature for you to know in QGIS. It will save you a lot of hassle, and in most cases you see it's not as difficult. You just need to know the nitty-gritties of how to go about it. Ensure that you know, for example, what you want to control the atlas with. In my case, I use the Kenya counties boundaries to control the atlas, but you can always control the atlas in other or using other layers. You just need to know the structure, the fields, and how you want it to be. So as you've seen, I've even edited the styles for the other layers that we have here. The rule-based symbology that we handled, we were able to see how we can control or write custom expressions to control what is shown on our map. So it's that skill that we are using now to control the atlas, or to use the atlas to control how the maps are generated. So now in this case, if you compare this with what we generated initially on our report, on our atlas, we have this format, and we can now do another export, which will now give us even a more cleaner feel on the data that we have on our project. So with that, you see, let's export. Again, it will repeat the process of exporting the 47 maps. So let's give it a sec. If there are any questions, you can always post them below, and I'll be glad to answer your queries. So this is how ideally you can make your life easy in QGIS, and as we've mentioned, this is open source and you have a lot of freedom to use and to basically make your life easy in GIS. So now you can see this is done, and if I open my map where you have now the atlas, it's more cleaner and better in terms of the design and what is represented in the different parts. So for cases, for example, I've seen the maps up here. You can see, for example, this. So you can always move these elements to areas where you find maybe most of your boundaries do not fall in, and at least it does not abstract the data that you have. Of course, there are some areas you'll find, for example, this Bomet, which does not even have one health site on this map, and it's very okay, but it will not leave any county behind because it doesn't have anything overlying. Remember, it was generated based on the page names that we defined when setting or when generating the atlas. So that is it about the atlas. It's amazing, and cheers.